500. Oh, and Longhurst has hit the wall. And look at that. And Karanja. Today from Pukekohe, where it's fine and fast, 3 Sport presents the second round of the Nissan Mobil 500. It's all the action from the power circuit at Pukekohe. And coming up today, we've got the reverse grid shootout in the 2-litre touring cars. All the action from the New Zealand touring cars as the big crowd trackside check out the action, along with the Grand Tourers, the Porsches. Also, we'll have highlights from the HQ Holdens. And first up today, it's the mighty Transams, one of the features in the Street Skills Summer of Motorsport. Your commentator, Wayne Munro.
Thanks, Clint. And yes, it's Transam time here at Pukekohe. The big bangers are back in action thanks to the Noel Leeming Transam Champs races. And here we've got one of these new era Transam cars built to the latest North American specs. This is Mark Petch's Auto News Chevy Camaro, Andy McElrea at the wheel. Now, McElrea's job today is to try to take the challenge to the defending champ, the guy who used to drive for Mark Petch in the Auto News team last year, Kane Scott, the man who's well and truly got pole position here. Blitzed the field yesterday. Well, blitzed everybody, that is, except for McElrea. There we've got John Sorensen in the 3-Sport Transam, just wheeling slowly down the back straight at Pukie as they follow the pace car around, ready for their rolling start.
The Nissan Mobil 500 Transams are proudly presented by Noel Leeming.
Great to see a good field here lined up for this third race in the Noel Leeming New Zealand Transam Champs. And Andy McElrea again leads us over Mobil Mountain as we just get the view as the guys come down looking for the green light. Kane Scott in the pole position, Andy McElrea in the black Chevy Camaro right behind. And it's easily Kane Scott just boots it away from the line in the shell car. No problem whatsoever to the defending champ, Andy McElrea, settling in behind. Craig Pullman in the Neutralife car holding down the third spot at the moment from Bernie Gillen, and a bit of a traffic jam back there. Tim Buxton drops to the rear in the number 19 Falcon. And this is the view from Andy McElrea's Auto News Chevy Camaro. Down the back straight the first time. Just listen to the 5 litres rev out. Look at the brake that Kane Scott's got on him already. This is the first lap. A bit of a smoky one there from Craig Pullman. Gets it under control, but Bernie Gillen right alongside him there in the blue Chev Camaro. Looks like he's going by, but Kane Scott, boy, a bit of a wiggle and a waggle there as he goes under the Dunlop Bridge, over the top of Mobil Mountain, and breaking away that much in the first lap. This thing has got some serious power. Andy McElrea once more guides us around through the S's. You can see the Kane Scott car already disappearing well ahead. Round railway onto the back straight, full power now, but this man already getting away from him out front, Kane Scott. The man from Hamilton started out in minis, stepped up to these big Transams a few years ago, won the title, well, multiple times now. The guy is just the absolute dominator of this class, and so it's proving again. In '94, he won the first 2 races at Manfield. Now he looks like he's well and truly got the grip on this one with Andy McElrea in the second spot. But that is still a good performance from McElrea. Brand new car just finished this week. Here we go down the front straight at Pukekohe. Over the bumps. Hear the car just rev a little more as it hits those bumps. Feathers it around the Nissan corner, already doing probably 120 miles an hour through that very tight part of the circuit, then down through the S's, much slower onto the back straight, and look at the gap way back there to the third place car. Looks like Craig Pullman in his Chevy Camaro. Great to see these new era Transam cars in action here. Nice little group there with Bernie Gillen bringing up the rear. But it's the 85 car. In fact, that's Trevor Crowe, a ring-in for this race. The man who is well used to this sort of power, who's now throwing down the challenge, trying to move up into the fourth spot. So Trevor Crowe, then goes Greg Lancaster, the man who dreamt up this class, in the blue and yellow car. Then comes Bernie Gillen in his Chevy Camaro. Trevor Crowe now going slow, so problems there. What a pity, because the guy was doing a great job running well up in this pack. So the Christchurch man pulls into the pit lane. Kane Scott pulls another gear as he heads down the back straight. Whoa! Andy McElrea kicks the dust up as he gets onto the back straight. Now he's got it under control, no problem. This is the view inside the Chevy Camaro from the Mark Petch team. Chomps it down as they head for the hairpin. Beautiful sounding car. These cars developing about 630, perhaps more horsepower out of their 5-litre engines, built to the exact same specifications that the guys run in the Transam series in North America. Very popular. And finally, the Kiwi scene has made its rules that fit exactly the same as the North Americans. Means we can switch them around a bit, plus they can pick up on the technology straight out of the States. And these cars are essentially clones of the 94 and 95 spec Mustangs and Chev Camaros that are racing. Wow, and there we get the view. Andy McElrea off the edge of the track there. Things a little bit dusty inside there, or smoky by the looks of it. Could be McElrea's got a big problem there. Let's hope not, because he's the only man so far who's been able to challenge this guy out front. As we get the Tate Communications rundown there on the top 5, the one well and truly out front, Kane Scott, in the Shell Mustang, out of the Greg Lancaster stable in Christchurch. Yep, definitely bad news there. Pulls into the pit lane. That is a real shame. Andy McElrea in the Auto News Chevy Camaro was the challenger to Kane Scott. Now he's going to have to wait for another race, but we saw him step off the track. Then some nasty smoky things coming from under the firewall and into the cockpit, so he's into the pits. So back with the leader, and no, unfortunately that's not a challenger to Kane Scott as he heads down the back straight. That is, in fact, the Falcon, a very radically modified Falcon, we'd have to say, of Tim Buxton, who's just been lapped. So Kane Scott really stealing a march on everybody here, with McElrea now out of the running. He's got this one absolutely sewn up. All he has to do is just cruise around to the checkered flag. So it's the end of lap 6, and he's still flat out. No buttoning off whatsoever as he comes down the bumpy front straight here at Pukekohe. As you can see, totally on his own through the S's in the Shell Mustang. It's a situation you'd have to say that Kane Scott has been pretty well used to these last couple of years, because triers Kieran Wills and other people like the late Roger Freeth-Might, they really found it very difficult to get in contention with this guy. Now, it is very interesting that he's switched teams from Mark Petch's Auto News team now to the Greg Lancaster Transaction team from the South Island, and he's still way out ahead. So, well, what do you put that down to? Is it this guy, or is it his machinery? I think it's a bit of both, but he's definitely a very talented customer, Kane Scott, and I know he's hoping that this year a good performance in the New Zealand Transam Champs, sponsored by Noel Leeming, that he will get a break to go to the States and race one of these cars against the top Transam drivers in the States. So now he has an identical car. He can ship it over there. Go racing. Oh, and that's Bernie Gillen doing the 360. Oh, and another one, Bernie. That's a bit of a gratuitous one. throw in an extra spin for the fans. That's the Chev Camaro that's been heavily rebuilt. It was a Pontiac Transam, came to New Zealand in that guise 2 years ago. Did the Transam series in the hands of American Scott Lagasse. So extensively rebuilt in Tauranga by Grant Brennan and converted to Chev Camaro. Bernie Gillen, the Tauranga man, a builder down there, is just trying his hand at something a little bit different. Quite a bit different. He was a Formula V racer. Then again, this guy used to be a Mini 7 racer, so just shows you can make the switch no problem. Well, he can anyway. Kane Scott, 8 laps down and counting. Not too far to go now in this first race at Pukekohe for the Noel Leeming Transam Championship. This car, one of 6 new cars built in the last few months, well, probably 4 months, since Greg Lancaster, the man at the helm of Motor Race New Zealand, came up with this concept of a class absolutely based on the Transam rules in the States. And you can see already putting the pressure on another Transam car, another Mustang, sorry. This one owned by George Shuri of Auckland, but a much older car. And look at the difference in the aerodynamics. The very swoopy lines of Kane Scott's Mustang, the very latest spec car, beautifully streamlined aerodynamic body. And George gets the message from the blue flag. Yep, he's coming by. And look at that. Puts him a lap down as Kane Scott goes into the last lap of this Noel Leeming race at Pukekohe. Absolutely unchallenged, unbothered, unfussed as he takes very conservative line now onto the back straight at Pukekohe. Revs out that 5-litre motor. Boy, she sounds nice too. And that is one thing that I think will bring the fans back this summer to the Street Skills Series. This kind of awesome horsepower and enough of it to go around with about 7 or 8, perhaps 9 cars by the time the series kicks into full life around Christmas time at Bay Park. It's going to be a fantastic championship. But Kane Scott, meantime, got it all on his own as he heads for the checkered flag over Mobil Mountain the last time. Down the front straight to the checkered flag. Kane Scott from Hamilton takes it out on the Shell Mustang. Awesome performance from the young guy. This is almost second nature to him now, running away from the field. Posted an exceptional time yesterday, down on the 55-second bracket. And it's down to the wire for the second spot, and Alan Ferguson, the Aucklander, takes it away in his brand new Chevy Camaro from Greg Lancaster.
The Nissan Mobil 500 Transams are proudly presented by Noel Leeming.
So the final results for the Noel Leeming Transam Championship, race 1. Kane Scott, of course, the winner. Alan Ferguson through into second. Lancaster third. Bernie Gillen, despite his spin, takes fourth. And George Shuri in the Mustang, 5th place.
In a concrete building, they've got us looking in the wrong direction.